Hey, it's Phalaen. You're watching PHILA TV, the ultimate YouTube channel. I'm a cinematographer, just a dude with a camera. And what am I doing with orchids? I don't like orchids. I don't do orchids. I mean, I will admit, someone gave my wife this one years ago, and it died, of course, and she threw it out, and I grabbed it, put it in a mason jar, and somehow I'm able to keep it alive, and every year it does grow a little flower. So it goes in the house for a month, the flower dies, she wants to throw it away. Anyway, my neighbor was throwing out a bunch of junk, and they had a whole bunch of orchids out there, and I'm, like I said, not an orchid fan, and they were all droopy and looked horrible, and had branches with dead flowers, and I said to myself, I don't want any orchids, but I figured I could use these two little pots. This one says made in Germany, so I grabbed these two at least, and I go, wow, this one's got a tag, and it says that I can't pronounce it. So, and like I said, these are really droopy, so I gave them a little bit of water. I just hit it with the squirt bottle, kind of just like this, and gave them a little bit of water, and went along, back to what I was doing for the, remainder of the day. And then all of a sudden I look over, and these things are all standing up, all perky and happy. So I thought, why not take a look at them? So, I know how to work with them, and I've played with them a couple of times, but I'm not really, like I said, it's not something I grow. I don't have a cool enough area around. So this first one I'm taking off, taking apart, and it's just, a nice little Chinese pot, which is cool. And this has got a ton of dead and dying roots. And you can see, even though I did wet it, it is really, really dry. So, I know this is all going to have to come apart, and we're going to see if there's any salvageable roots. But I can tell you I don't want the dark green dyed Spanish moss on it, that's for sure. But it's still got quite a bit of good roots, and it's lost quite a, almost all of the leaves, but it's a possibility the center could grow. It doesn't at least have, crown rot. So like I said, I'm going to pull this apart and see, what's going on. Doesn't really look great, but I know these things come back from the dead pretty nicely, and I've got the patience for it. And originally, what I started doing is taking off, the little clips off of the plants out there, because I use them, with my maple trees when they need a little stick. That's when I saw this, and I go, I might as well take one or two home and see if I can get these things running again. So yeah, this has got lots of die off. It's going to take a little surgery to get this one going. But the moss isn't in bad shape. It's just somebody let it completely dry out. And you can see it's old because those roots were going in circles. So before I go trying to clean or sterilize anything, I'm going to get it all taken apart and, get this moss out of here so I can get a new, substrate in there. And I've got plenty of stagnant moss. But this is going to need lots of cutaway. But I think it still needs to be soaked some more because, like I said, it was really dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it back. I'm going to cut a couple of the dead roots away that are, dead for sure. But this thing is severely root bound. A lot are completely dried out. It's so sad. Poor thing suffered. We gotta talk like it's a little puppy. But I guess I talk to automobiles the same way. So, all right, so I got most of that out of there. And I don't see a lot growing in here. But I don't seem to have much, I don't see any mold. I think it was just neglected, so. That's what we're going to do with that one. Now, as far as this other one, this one's perked up, but the leaves are still real yellow. You can see I got a lot of water in this one, but this one was the worst of all. And like I said, I wanted it just for the clips. Yeah, this thing is pretty bad itself. It looks like first it had, I don't know, it's got a lot of new roots going. I don't know, but it looked kind of like it was waterlogged for a long time, overwatered, and then let dry out. But it looks like it's salvageable. So I don't know about this one either. So we'll see it. So far, like I said, it doesn't look good. But first I'm going to do is, like I said, get some water in here and see if I can get these roots to, you know, pucker up a little bit, or I should say swell up a little bit. And then we'll see what's going on. And we will come back to it. And then this one, like I said, I did this one years ago. And you can see it's got a lot of good growth. I mean, there's a lot of moss growing in there because of, you know, being in this jar. And it's always next to a window right here, so it gets a lot of light. It's a lot of photosynthesis going on. So I wonder if we can get this one out. Because this one also is going to have to be repotted as well. Wow, that's crazy. I remember this, I didn't even have any substrate laying around. I just used up a bunch of old stuff that we have there in the plants. But look at how green that is. Let's see if we can get close to this. Super green. Now I don't know if that's good or bad, but like I said, this one gets neglected a lot too. This is struggling. So what I'm going to actually do is go and rinse these off as best I can. And then from what I've read, and this, you know, it's got stuff growing underneath there. This one's doing well. So what I've read, it wouldn't hurt to let this dry out. So that's probably what I'll do is, you know, clean this, let it soak up some more water, and then clean this up really well. Get all the substrate off of it, and then trim back some of these dead roots. And then we'll let this dry out for just a little bit. And we'll get it filled with new substrate. But this thing has been pretty successful at blooming every year, and I can see that there's a stem coming off of there. One of these leaves looks really bad. I'm just going to remove it. And then we'll be back to finish off this first attempt at really playing with orchids. And I'll probably make every single mistake possible. All right, stay tuned or come back. Haven't figured it out yet, but I've got these. I put new substrate, just sphagnum moss, and I'm putting them in mason jars so I could literally keep an eye on them. And they're going to sit in here on the shelf inside the nursery, and we'll, you know, see how they do. Okay, so here's what I did. I just, you know, with fresh substrate of sphagnum moss, substrate. I have a hard time saying it, substrate. Anyways, look how this one's purple on the bottom. This one looked the worst out of the three, but I mean the two. You know, this one's been around for forever, and you can see that's got a new leaf on it, so doing something right there. So like I said, this one looked the worst, but it's already starting to look better. I gave these a lot of water, then I poured the water off, and I'll keep an eye on them while they're in the jars. They will sit over here on the shelf for everyone to enjoy. Oh, I'll put these on the shelf here, and I'm sure I'll do a follow-up video in a couple of months or so, or whenever I see some kind of life from it. But this one's pretty trippy. It's purple on the bottom, and the other ones aren't. So, like I said, gave them some water, gave them some fresh substrate, and we'll just let them chill and hope that something grows like leaves or flowers or something pretty. Anyways, thanks for watching PHILA TV. Don't forget, you can find me on Instagram at PHILA TV channel. Thanks for subscribing and hitting the notification bell. Just thanks for watching.